What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Stand Your Ground. It's coming home. It's coming home.
Is it?
Don't
Is it
don't
really?
sing anymore. We'll have to pay for it.
Yeah, DMCA and all that. But all I'm thinking now is, oh God, we're definitely getting beat in the next round because that would be so like us. This is the perils of supporting Leeds and England. You just expect the worst.
So I'm your host, as always, Alex Benson. I'm joined by both members of the Mighty Whites podcast, Jack and KC. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good, mate. Yourself?
I mean, I feel a lot better than what I did for the first 60, 70 minutes of that match.
You see, that's the issue when we've not been able to come to the pub. I felt fine all the way through.
As Jack can attest to, I think I had my head in my hands 3 minutes in.
Right, how far in was that cross from the right to the far post that Kyle Walker headed behind for a corner? Because I think probably less than 3 minutes. That's when his head went in his hands.
Oh, fuck.
My arse had gone already.
Well, we've alluded
stressful.
to it. In fact, before we do that, if you did stick around, you could. If you were here for the intro, make sure that you go and check out "Come On England" by Adam Crockett on YouTube, or go and purchase it from adamcrockett.herenow.com.
It's doing it for the kids. You know, it's a really good thing to do.
So we finally did it. We beat the Germans in a knockout game.
Wrong. That's wrong for a pissing start.
It's not 1-0. It's 2-0.
It's 2-0.
For God's sake.
Made it seem closer than what it actually was.
Dude, this is not that difficult, man.
I'm still buzzing from it. That's what I'm going to blame it on anyway.
It was fucking brilliant. I mean, obviously we'll talk about the game a fair bit. Like the first 15 minutes of each half, I thought we were comfortably second best. Like we really didn't start particularly well, but that's the good thing about, because we were kind of man for man for a lot of the pitch. Obviously, we had a little bit of a surplus at the back at times, especially when Havertz dropped right off. But it took us a bit in each half to get used to what they were doing. But once we did, obviously Germany had chances. They're a good side. But once we got used to it, I actually think we were the better side once we got used to it. And that, if we can be the better side against them, that should stand us in good stead but against all but two teams that are left in it, in theory. Unfortunately, football isn't played on paper, but...
And those teams are Switzerland and Crash Holly.
It's a hell of a reference.
So, before the game even took place, the major talking point was Southgate's lineup. Going back to 5 at the back, 2 in midfield, 3 up top.
He's got it totally wrong. He's misread this game. What's he doing? I spent 5 minutes last time talking about how we desperately needed to be playing with a number 10. And Gareth Southgate got it completely wrong.
You see, KC, that's where you messed up. The key is to not be on the preview one, because then you can't make yourself look stupid. Point at head, smart like wrestler.
I think I was in the minority that went, I'm all right with this. I agree with Southgate playing 5 at the back against a German side and seeing out the first 60 to 70 minutes and hoping that we can bring on people like Foden and Grealish and Rashford and Sancho and just go at Germany when they're knackered.
I think my issue with it when I first saw it was in the previous couple of games, England hadn't been pressing like at all in the opposition half. So this idea that we were going to have at times just 7-8 men behind the ball against a quality team very much made me think that they would have longer spells of possession in the game. And fair play to England. I think going man for man allowed them to press a bit more. You saw Rice and Phillips stepping up the field, tracking their men. I thought Harry Kane was closing down more. Sterling was as well. At times you saw the wing backs quite high up pressing as well. So I thought that kind of mitigated that change in tactic.
Yeah, well, when you look at like the big chances, the first goal not so much, but obviously the second goal comes from really good pressing from Luke Shaw. As much as it was a shocking pass that let Sterling in for that chance that Harry Kane had right at the end of the first half, he isn't getting to that ball if he isn't already looking to press, and we can come out, so they have to drop off. I think it makes such a difference if you just put any opposition under some pressure, and it does force mistakes. And at that sort of, it's the same all the way through football. It's very rare that there's any goals scored where you can't point to there was an error there. And I just think the more errors you can force, the better. When it comes to formation, I said to KC before the game, I was always expecting us to be back to a back three for this game. To be honest, because I was expecting it to be this formation for the rest of the tournament, but because it's like Ukraine, he might go back to a 4. But I wonder if he'll just keep it the same now as it is and just try and be solid and try and mitigate the mistakes. But we were really, really solid. I mean, as much as it's not the most interesting thing in the world to watch at times, this game was different. There was so much on the line that I enjoyed it anyway. But to play 4 games at a tournament and not concede a goal is really impressive. That does not happen very often.
It's the one thing I think you've got to say is, as negative as it can be to have 3 centre backs and 2 holding midfielders, you know, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice do get higher up the pitch. You do have 2 central defenders. To be honest, that's right, Harry Maguire in there as well. You do have central defenders that are willing to bring it out. So it's not as if it's just getting men behind the ball, sitting deep. So, like you say, I think the start of both halves.
Your internet had a slight wobble there, KC, but you're back. Don't worry about it.
Oh, lovely stuff. Yeah, I think once we'd settled into either half, the formation did really work and did really suit us.
Yeah, I thought Phillips and Rice were both excellent. Obviously, I'm not just going to bang on about how great Calvin Phillips is, but needless to say, he is great. But I thought Rice was excellent too. I thought all 3 centre backs were really good. Maguire brought the ball out well and stood and defended well, but I was really impressed with Kyle Walker in this game. Every time they did manage to find a lane in behind the centre backs, his cover, I know he's rapid, which helps, but his starting positions must have been excellent because he was always round, ready on the cover, but without constantly playing people onside. So he did really well. And I also thought it was interesting. There was a few, maybe a couple of, I think there was 3 different 2-minute spells where, because they'd been pressing and following men around the pitch, Calvin Phillips played right centre-back and Walker played in middle, just for a couple of minutes. And they looked completely comfortable doing it, which, I mean, isn't really that shocking. Phillips has played centre-back for us in both a 3 and a 2. And Kyle Walker plays for Man City, so the full-back's basically playing centre midfield half the time. But I thought that it was very adept, and the ability to move positions so that you're not uncomfortable in an uncomfortable area of the pitch. It's just another thing that means less likely to make mistakes. The only real error, I mean, Kane's missing that chance at the end of the first half. The only really shocking error I can think of was that awful Sterling pass when Muller went through.
Yeah.
And if you can get through a game with only one of them, that's pretty good.
I mean, the formation came up on screen, and I think everybody kind of went, "Oh, this is really we're taking a step backwards here. We need to start playing these." We've got 3 great attacking midfielders / wingers that are sat on the bench here that probably should be starting this game. But the way that our team kind of changed shape that much, where huge praise to Trippier and Shaw because they basically covered the entire wing. Kane dropped back into that false 9 position, which allowed Sterling and Saka to then both cut inside, which gave Rudiger and Ginter a lot of problems. I think there were quite a few times where I was thinking, once Ginter got that yellow card, he could see a red card here, because I imagine he's going to leave a leg in, and it's not unlike Sterling. And then when Grealish came on, to just go down.
Yeah, I didn't actually mention him when I was saying it, but not so much in the second half. His performance did drop off, but in the first half, I thought Saka was excellent. Again, he's basically, I mean, fair play to him. He's played his way into the side. He'll stay in, and he should. The other thing that with the formation, I do wonder if he might have been tempted to not do this had Mason Mount not had to miss training all week. Because he loves Mason Mount, and he can't play Mason Mount as a 2 in a 3-4-3.
He's been training well. I think I don't know if him and Chilwell have been training together or if they've been training separately.
I would assume that they could train together.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, who knows with the rules at the minute.
Hey, I also did shock me that after we went 2-0 up, we only made 2 subs this full game. Grealish came on in the 69th minute, and Henderson came on in the 88th for Rice. The yellow cards does mean that Rice and Phillips are only a yellow card away from a suspension, and Harry Maguire is a yellow card away from the suspension as well.
I would not be shocked if one of Phillips or Rice doesn't start against Ukraine, because they get wiped after that game.
Yeah.
You can probably risk. I think Southgate will see it as, I can risk one of them getting suspended, but not both of them. So if he plays one of them, like I must admit, I hate that rule, by the way. Getting 2 yellow cards in 5 games in a tournament should not get you suspended. 3 in 5, fair enough, but 2 in 5 is way too soft.
It'd be interesting to see how he does it. I would suspect, because I think Declan Rice was struggling a little bit towards the end of that game. I don't know if it was cramp or what it was.
He tried to join in the celebration of the second goal and just fell on the floor, didn't he?
That was it, because we were all watching Declan, because I think you and me, about 30 seconds before that goal, was shouting, "Declan, get back on the pitch and lay down."
Yeah, he was injured a yard off the pitch, wasn't he, and got back on.
So just go down, mate. Just go down. And then, Jordan Henderson's kind of stood in front of them waiting to come on. So it's quite nice seeing their little celebration on the side as well. But I would imagine after that you'd think Declan Rice would probably be the one to drop out of the 2.
Now, I would say personally, I would play him. I'd play them both.
Absolutely.
I'd keep him in. But I do think there's a pretty decent chance he'll rest one of them.
There's a few still on yellow cards. I think Phil Foden, if he picked one up, he'd be suspended as well, if I remember rightly.
Has he had 2 as well?
I can't remember now. I don't know. I thought I'd seen that earlier, but I'm not 100% sure now you've said that.
Off the top of my head, obviously the 3 who picked up a yellow card in this game are all up for suspension. I think Tyrone Mings is one, but I don't reckon he probably plays in the next game. And I think Shaw's got a yellow card as well in this tournament, so we might see Chilwell against Ukraine.
Maybe. I was just trying to quickly find a link, but my laptop's being a pain because I haven't bought a new one yet. But thanks to this game, I can buy a new one.
Yes.
Yeah, you want enough money.
Yeah, because by the way, do not gamble. It's don't. It's bad for you and stuff. But I won 860 quid. 2-0 Kane.
Don't gamble. Gambling is wrong.
Yeah, 2-0 Kane and Sterling. Which made it an even better day than it already was. So
even cheaper day for me.
It's probably a good thing that my daughter was born 3 months ago and not now, because Rahima would be right up there, isn't it?
To be honest, after this tournament, it'd be tough to call a girl Calvin.
Yeah. So that's Joachim Löw's final game in charge of Germany. Overall, I mean.
By the way, KC, you were right. It's Maguire, Rice, Phillips, Foden.
Okay.
Although the last two tournaments have been something to forget for Germany, I think overall you can't deny he has been a good manager for Germany, and I wouldn't want to see him come into club football. I think I'd rather him just stay with that legacy of the German squad.
I think he's get paid a shed load of money to manage Qatar at the Qatar World Cup written all over him. That's just my theory. I've thought it for a while. Oh, I've been doing this international management stuff for, 17 years, because he was Klinsmann's assistant, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing it forever. I don't want to jump straight back into a job. Here's all the money in the world, though. Okay, I'll do it.
I mean, just looking here, it's not the most German of records, but third place, then winner of the World Cup, Confederations Cup winner, and runners-up at Euro 2008.
Yeah, and there were runners-up when he was Klinsmann's assistant as well, weren't there?
Quite possibly. I don't have that information.
Yeah, I can't remember what year it was, but didn't they do way better than everyone expected because they were expecting them to be crap?
Well, that Italy. No, because that was France World Cup.
Yeah, that was France. I can't remember my years. I was a child at the time. And the great thing is about things like this, especially because things have eased up a bit and you can go to a pub and things like that. Have you noticed how pretty much everyone, in England, is in a good mood? There is a lot. I mean, it's one of the things that annoys me that, because you just know it's going to be claimed as, triumph, and, you've got fucking Priti Patel tweeting out about it when she'd have deported half the players if it was up to her and things like that. But
it's a good job she's not in charge of Germany or something like that. Jesus, definitely half their players would be sent home.
Yeah, but it is great to see. It is great to see a load of just something that we needed, something for everyone to kind of rally behind, because it's been a shit 18 months, and this it is great. I didn't really appreciate it in I was too young in '96. The '98 when I was too young. 2018 it happened. That summer was great, and this summer's probably I'm not going to say for a second, but we will. If we win this summer's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Right, nothing lockdown 3.
Right up until it gets claimed and the people who with haircuts like me get really mad.
Nothing epitomizes English culture, though, does it, than a stadium full of fans cheering when they show a picture of a German girl crying.
Right. This has got my goat up a bit. People who don't understand football are getting mad at the wrong thing here. I'm okay with people saying, you shouldn't boot national anthem. That's a bit of a dick move. I agree, it probably is. I'm not as pissed off about it as a lot of people are, but you probably shouldn't. There were various things written on Twitter that shouldn't have been, and they were written by arseholes. But laughing at a crying child is completely fair game. It is 100% fair game. It's not to laugh at a crying child because they're crying because their grandma died, but crying because your football team left, you should be laughed at. And I know I bawled my eyes out when we got beat by Argentina in '98. I walked the entire way home from the pub because, yes, I was 8 years old, and yes, I did watch it in the pub.
And yes, he was drinking mild.
Yeah. Walked back up, crying the whole way. And if an Argentinian bloke had walked past and gone, I'd have gone, yeah, well, at the time, I'd have been mad. But I would look back and say that was fine. It's character building. The problem is now, in the Euros, and in 2021, she's probably going to become a meme.
Yeah.
And that's not her fault. I feel sorry for her in terms of that. But once she's old enough for that to matter, one, no one will know it's her, and two, she'll have a great story.
Yeah.
Laughing at crying people because their team lost is perfectly fair game. Saying awful things about them on the internet isn't. But I didn't even know that had happened until like today, because no one I follow did that.
I mean, you look at just the day before with the Swiss Harry Potter. You know, the agony to ecstasy in 90 seconds. And that's an image that will stick around for such a long time.
Yeah, well, yeah. Have you seen what's happened for that guy?
No.
They've found him. They've given him free tickets to the quarterfinals. He's been contacted by a Swiss tourist company that are giving him a free holiday to anywhere of his choice once the world opens back up. And he's got a sponsorship with an energy drink company.
A fair play to you. That's if nothing else, that's what the internet can do for you now.
Yeah. There's no high res pictures, but this will do if I can get it on there. That's one of the most iconic images in Leeds United's fucking history at the minute. And that now bloke plays up to that on Twitter all the time.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's in his bio.
Yeah.
So, shall we go through the other round of 16 games?
Who cares? England won. That's all that matters.
Who cares? It's going on. English exceptionalism, mate.
It's not like the other games were any good anyway, apart from the day before.
Yeah, so Wales 0, Denmark 4.
Wales were poor.
Yeah. Well, honestly, this feels like it was 2 weeks ago, this game. For 15 minutes, Wales were pretty good. And then Denmark came out of that back three, put Christensen on Ramsey, man marking him. Wales didn't have another kick.
Yeah.
It could have been 6 or 7. They absolutely battered them in this game. And once it went 2-0, I think Wales' heads just went.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 15 minutes, it properly went, but I think that they don't have that. Because Gareth Bale's still a good footballer. He's still a really good footballer. But it's not like in 2016 when he was one of the best players in the world. And if they were losing, they went, yeah, but with him, we've always got a chance. I don't think they had that faith this time.
No.
No, the pace isn't there for him anymore. You know, he is still a very quick man, but that pace that he just almost looks like he's jogging past people is kind of gone at this point. And the other issue they had throughout the tournament, outside of Turkey, I never thought they particularly got on top of anyone. I thought they had a very passive midfield throughout, which is a shame because there's some talented players in there. But,
you were saying the only game they played well was Turkey, and I remember at the time saying that was a really good performance. That gives me a lot of hope. But then, like, Turkey was so bad that you have to grade that performance on a curve.
Yeah, you go back and you look at, I think the performance against Switzerland was so poor. You know, obviously they kind of rescued that with a late equaliser, but it was a poor performance, and for the talent they had in that team. But I don't know, obviously we're talking about a competition now where Switzerland are in the quarterfinals. But that is a Welsh team that should be competing with them.
Yeah, on the other side though, I thought Denmark were very good.
Yeah, you've got to give credit to Kasper Dolberg. First game in the Euro, 2 goals. And to be fair, his first one was really well taken.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of undermines the tournament that Danny Ward's had, does this scoreline. Because I think Danny Ward has been incredible for Wales all the way through this tournament. If it wasn't for him, they would have been beaten by Switzerland and they probably wouldn't have gone through as a top third place team.
Yeah, and it's someone who doesn't play very often, because obviously he's still at Leicester, isn't he? His second choice.
Yeah, so it must be horrible when you as part of the goalkeepers union at the end, you're going to the man who keeps you out of the team.
Yeah, I can only assume that didn't they buy him for summer? That it looked almost nailed on. Wasn't it? De Gea was going to Real Madrid, and they were going to buy, and Scum were going to buy Kasper Schmeichel. So Leicester spent because they paid 12 million or something for Ward. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then the deals all fell through, and they just had an expensive second choice keeper all of a sudden.
Yeah, because I think it was the same. There was talks that we were either Schmeichel were coming to us, or we were doing a swap deal and Keylor Navas was coming and we were selling De Gea. And then it ended up Navas was on a plane to PSG and they signed Courtois.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the Denmark side back there. Like, obviously, Schmeichel's a good goalkeeper. Christensen, Simon Kjær, Vestergaard, that's pretty solid. The wing backs, Striger Larsen has looked good. And that Joachim Mæhle, I don't watch enough Italian football, so I don't know if he's been ripping it up for Atalanta the whole time, which he may well have been.
He's only been there 6 months.
Yeah, he would obviously never come to Leeds. He's playing in the Champions League and stuff, but he has Bielsa wing back written all over him.
Yeah.
Relentless energy, up and down, good technically. Oh, God. Every game I've watched Denmark, I've watched him and thought he's fucking quality. Him. Højbjerg and Delaney, that's really solid in middle. Braithwaite is a bit of a joke at Barca, but that don't make him a bad player. Dolberg was really good in this game. And that Damsgaard has had an unbelievable start to his international career. Denmark are what a lot of people thought Turkey were going to be. Denmark, the difference between them, obviously, Turkey ended up being shit. But on paper, they had quite a lot of talent. But the difference with Denmark is they've got some talent, and they also look really solid. And as I was saying with England before, if you're solid defensively, you've got a chance.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it last week, Casey, when we both said Denmark, for the first 70 minutes of that Belgium game, looked like they should have come away with a point. It was only when Belgium brought on Kevin De Bruyne, did you see the difference in quality between the two sides?
Kevin De Bruyne, who is probably going to be missing from Belgium's next game.
Yeah, I did see that. He's picked. Haven't they got someone else out as well?
Hazard.
Eden Hazard's out, isn't he? Yeah. Although that's not nearly as big of a miss.
Not now.
Not anymore.
He's another one. He's just not. It might as well be his stunt double. It's just not the same guy. Still a good footballer.
I believe he's called Thorgan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is incredibly unlucky. He's barely played for Real. He's finally got himself into fitness, and he came on the back end of that Denmark game and didn't look to do much. Came on in the round of 16. He looked all right, but then for your hamstring to go, and you've basically played 90 minutes of football this tournament, and that's your tournament over. You've got to think Real must be looking at thinking, right, we need to offload him now.
Who's going to take him? Even PSG.
Spurs.
Even PSG surely can't. They're about to sign Donnarumma. He'll be on 300 grand a week. They're about to sign Sergio Ramos. He'll be on 350 grand a week.
Leo Messi's on a free.
God, part of me wants PSG to sign Messi. It might be the worst thing in the world. Because, sometimes you just want to see chaos.
you want to see
the world burn.
Yeah.
Messi, Neymar and Mbappe.
I want to see that team not win the Champions League.
Yeah. On the subject of that, I'll mention it quickly. There is the correct romantic thing for Leo Messi to do. What he has to do is come to Leeds to be with one of his heroes, in Marcelo Bielsa. Him and Bielsa have 2 more years at Leeds, and then they can both go back to Newell's and see out their careers. That's what the romantic should do.
It all makes sense to me.
And if Leo Messi doesn't do that, he's a money-grabbing bastard.
We've got a comment here from Archie. According to Martinez, scans show that Hazard has a muscle issue and De Bruyne has an ankle sprain, but they'll not be fully fit for Friday's quarter-final clash.
The way that Hazard went off, I don't think Hazard plays again in this tournament, even if they get to the final.
Even if he is fit, I just wouldn't.
He probably won't start anyway, yeah.
So moving on before we do get to that Belgium side game, the other game that took place on that Saturday, Italy 2, Austria 1 after extra time. Austria, this is the first time a team this tournament has pushed Italy to the brink. Yeah,
they did really well in this game, Austria. Italy, are a really good side, and obviously they were the better side of these two, but not by loads. And, Italy, I mean, who knows? There was enough time left. Maybe they'd have got back into it. But Arnautovic was offside by what? That much? It was
like a foot.
It was really close. It was close enough that in real time, I thought it looked onside. Although it does go to show that VAR is apparently willing to do more about racism in football than UEFA themselves.
To be fair, Italy's first goal, Chiesa, it's a lovely touch to be able to take it down in the box and then put it around somebody, and then a decent finish.
Yeah, he did really well to adjust because he completely misjudged the ball. Like his plan was chest that ball down, and he got into totally wrong position, misjudged the bounce, but adjusted really well. I'd say he brought it down with his head, but I think he just brought it down with his face because it was all he could get on it. But judged it perfectly. Really good finish.
Yeah, a couple of good subs for them to be able to make at that point, because I think their strikers had been a bit wasteful throughout. Not to say that Austria didn't play well in that, but Italy probably should have won that in normal time, but couldn't find the finish. And then, two class substitutions that you can make at this level if you've got that sort of depth.
Yeah. Comment from Archie saying Austria played one hell of a match against Italy, not only having been the first to score against them in 1,000 minutes, but they blocked and defended very well throughout 90 minutes. Quite the scare.
I mean, it's fair that they were really impressive in this game. They just lacked that maybe a little bit more quality is all they needed. Although, I mean, obviously, it was in the end too late for him to actually get back into it. But I thought that Kaladzic header was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he scores that header, and then all of a sudden he's linked with a £25 million move to Palace.
To be fair, he has been excellent all season. I haven't watched loads of it, but I know he scored a shed load of goals this season. Because I tend to see Bundesliga highlights on YouTube, so I've seen him score quite a few.
Yeah. But it does question, do you think this mentally means that Italy will be a bit scared going into their next game? Because they knew they had to play one of Belgium and Portugal. And we now know that it's Italy versus Portugal in this quarter-final.
Is it, though? Because they lost to Belgium.
Italy versus Belgium. That's what I meant.
WWE Dynamite over here. They will be... I don't think it'll make any difference to how they approach that game. To be honest, they should... Although they had a team push them all the way, they've still probably been the best side in this tournament.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they'll worry too much about
that. We might as well talk about that Belgium-Portugal game quite quickly. Thorgan Hazard with a pretty decent goal. I think, I can't remember who it was on the coverage, said that if it was the other way around, if it was a Portuguese player shooting at Courtois saving that, I'm still not sure.
He does, fair play to me, he gets a lot of power on it. It does have some swerve. It's maybe a tad slow, the reactions, but it's also very easy to say that when you show it from 6 different angles and it slowed down again. I think it's one of those. It's a great hit. You can't really say whether Courtois would have saved it or not.
No, I mean, gun to my head, yeah, Courtois, better goalkeeper than Rui Patricio. So maybe. But, I mean, the thing for Portugal is, I mean, obviously, they had pretty much all of the game. But I don't know if this is a thing of me being tired at the time and not taking it in. But I remember them having all the game, but never thinking they were going to score.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a, it's a bit of a damp squiv of an ending for them, really. But I mean, got to see Ronaldo crying. That always makes me happy.
And kicking the captain's armband.
Oh, you know when to
bloody disrespectful.
He did it in the friendly, before the tournament against Hungary when it was a goal.
Oh, it was miles over the line.
and he throws the armband on the floor and storms off. It's a friendly. Get over it.
Does he think it's a challenge flag?
He's asking for a review.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the player from Portugal that really stood out in this game, and I was quite shocked when they took him off with like 15 minutes to go, was Renato Sanchez. He run that midfield.
Yeah, he seems to be back. I mean, he's been in a midfield that's won the league this season at Lille, so he's probably been great all season. Yeah, but he lost his way for a bit, didn't he? Obviously, he was brilliant at Benfica and in the last Euros when he was like 18. Got that big move to Bayern. That didn't really work out. Like, this is a different guy to that guy that was on loan at Swansea. I mean, he was awful at Swansea. But he looks to have sorted out whatever he needed to sort out, and he's playing really well now.
Archie with the comment. Yeah, you guys mentioned earlier about laughing at fans who cried for their teams, but nothing beats watching Ronaldo cry in frustration.
Oh, that's definitely true.
But a full country that was crying after their shock exit was the Netherlands. Czech Republic 2, Netherlands 0.
First, which was the first shock of the shock of the tournament. Sorry.
Yeah. This one is another one we watched in pub, isn't it, mate? We watched this game. I know the red card changes things, but I mean, Netherlands didn't do out before the red card either.
Well, I have to ask you about this. So, De Ligt gets sent off for that. Falls to the ground, clearly pulls the ball back with his arm. It's a red card. It has to be. Ref gives him a yellow on the field. VAR. Yeah, fine. Yeah. In the Hungary, I think it was the Hungary game versus Germany. Leroy Sané does the exact same thing, just outside the box, falls, pulls the ball back, only gets a yellow. And VAR said it was still a yellow.
Was Sané last man? Because I watched the France game because they were on at the same time. He was on the wing, so I think there might be a few centre backs in the box. That'll be why then, because it's not denial of a goal scoring opportunity, whereas this was. I mean, there was a couple of people sat behind me in KC going mental about this decision, but I can only assume that they just had money on the Netherlands and therefore were blind to reality, because it was definitely a red card. Both of us straight away said, well, he's got to go for that. But, like, obviously they played, 55 minutes-ish with 11v11. I mean, Netherlands did not have a shot on target in this game.
I mean, it's the one thing people said about Netherlands coming out of the group stages, though, that they have played some nice stuff, but they were by far and away the better team in their group, and they went relatively unchallenged in those 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine only started playing for 15 minutes, and in that 15 minutes, they scored 2 goals.
I think it does show you a lot when you're, as a country, still playing Stekelenburg in net, who for me, I thought he was still playing second choice for Fulham. I don't have a clue where he is at the moment.
No, wouldn't it have been Krul? Wouldn't it have been Krul, but Krul got injured?
Yeah, I was listening to it earlier, because I think Stekelenburg's, he's at Ajax, isn't he? And he's just come back in at the back end of this season, which is kind of got him into the starting lineup.
Has he taken over from Onana for his drug suspension?
Yeah, he must have done. He's gone back, but he's like 38 now, isn't he? But yeah, as much as, obviously red cards change games and stuff, I've Czech Republic fully deserved it for me.
Yeah, I did feel a bit. The 3 Dutch players that I really enjoyed watching this full tournament: Frankie de Jong, because he's an exceptional midfielder, and I don't get to see enough of him, seeing though he's played in the Spanish league and I don't follow it. And Memphis Depay played really well. Some of his touches were absolutely unbelievable, like the way that he cushioned the ball down. And then Denzel Dumfries.
Yeah, Dumfries is the one. Dumfries is the one that's, like, I know that he was highly rated before this. He's been talked about a lot. But however much that price was, it's 20 million. Well, no, he's a right back. He's 12 million higher now.
80 million higher.
He's another one that Bielsa would love. But we've got Luke Ayling, so we're good for a right back.
Can he play left back?
Probably.
It's Bielsa. It'll be, can he play centre mid? But no, he's by far their standout player. Does this bring us on to one of the best days of football you'll ever see?
Certainly as a neutral. I'm sure if you're French, it's probably not.
And unfortunately, one of these I only saw the highlights of because I had to go to bed because I hadn't slept in 2 days.
Gutted. So we'll start off with the first game. Spain 5, Croatia 3.
Some of the best mistakes I've ever seen in football games. One is just when you've got a goalkeeper who's already thinking 2 passes ahead and just misses the ball. So it's a nice 35-yard own goal.
Well, they did end up giving it to the player that passed it back, but that's definitely Unai Simon's own goal. He did touch the ball. It's his own goal.
Deflection. I think still my favourite goal of them was that had the water break. Spain had a free kick on the left-hand side. Smash a crossfield ball. And just seemingly there are just no defenders who went anywhere near the ball. Nice, simple, bring it down. Simple finish. But when you're just looking, just going, how have you how has there been a goal from a free kick out by the halfway line? Defenders haven't gone forward for it. Just smashing it into the corner. And Croatia's just gone, that'll be fine. He's not going anywhere.
This game was very like that. Because I know that Spain aren't known as a physical side, really, and that you'd take Sergio Ramos out. I don't think this happens if they've got Sergio Ramos. I think they just win that game 3-1. It's just done. But for the end of this game, I have never seen a team be that perturbed by just some long balls forward. They looked like they'd never seen a ball go in the air before.
Yeah, it wasn't Laporte's finest hour of football once you started pinging long balls down the middle.
Yeah. To be honest, when Croatia brought on Orsic in the second half, I've been shocked that he's not been playing for Croatia this whole tournament.
By the way, I don't know if you remember, it just jumped into my head. Is Orsic the one that scored the couple when Zagreb knocked out Spurs?
Yeah, he's got the hat-trick.
Yeah, because he was head and shoulders best player on the pitch that day. And he came on in this, and as soon as he came on, he looked absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So did he, with no... Obviously, they're out now, but it looks like they've missed a trick not playing him more.
Yeah, so he came on the 67th minute. He's been a sub this whole tournament. He's not started a game. They've been playing Perisic over him, which, fair enough, it's probably Perisic's last.
Yeah.
Maybe the World Cup might be his last international tournament for Croatia.
Because there's now only because the gap is shorter now, I think a lot of the ones who were going to retire after this last year might hold on. But not Toni Kroos.
Nah, he's had enough.
Yeah. Got pocketed by Calvin Phillips, even though Phillips was on Goretzka and it was actually Rice.
I saw that today. Isn't football the best thing in the world when 2 central midfielders from Real Madrid and Bayern Munich are marked out the game by central midfielders from Leeds and West Ham?
Yeah. Now, this game, I really wanted Croatia to win it.
Yeah. It was one of those where we were going, God, I really just wish for an underdog story to follow on from that Netherlands one. I want another underdog story. So then France versus Switzerland's 3-3 and Switzerland go through 5-4 on penalties.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all.
And honestly, once you had obviously the shock of Switzerland going ahead. Then get a penalty, and you do think if they get this, they're done. I know what the French are like. They're not the most strong-willed of countries, whether it's football or war. They've got a defeat in them. Missed the penalty.
Really good save as well. Lloris.
Yeah, fantastic save from apparently I think I saw it described earlier as the man who shouldn't even be in goal for Spurs. I'm just trying to see when I can't remember when the penalty was now, but it felt like within
minute.
Yeah, 55.
Really, it honestly felt like 2 minutes later, France then equalise,
and then 90 seconds later, France
score again, and you're just looking, going, well, this was nice. That Switzerland had their moment. Pogba curls in an absolute worldie. And you just assume at that point, you can't miss a penalty, then concede 3, and then come back in that game at all.
Well, as I was saying before, I'd had 0 sleep due to Ava being up all night. I put that game on, but got in bed. And I went, right, I'm just gone. If I fall asleep, I fall asleep. I saw Switzerland go 1-0 up. I fell asleep. I woke up to a commentator going, Pogba, oh, that's... And I went, 3-1, 20 minutes left. No worries. And just turned it off. And then I woke up to all these messages from you two going, oh my God, they've done it. I watched it all the next morning.
It was one of those games where Pogba hits that shot and every Premier League fan goes, why is he not doing that for Man United? Yeah, he's got a better midfield playing for him when he's playing for France than he has Man United. But the
midfield of France is seemingly built around Pogba as opposed to Man United, where it's like, well, we're playing someone who's half decent, stick him on the wing.
So are you trying to convince me, Alex, that N'Golo Kante is better than Fred? Because you might have a point.
Not Fred. McTominay, maybe.
No, McTominay's a world beater. McTominay's a world beater. I saw him against Leeds.
But then for a full 120 minutes going, is that Xhaka or is that Lothar Matthäus?
Or in my case, it's that Gianni Alioski.
Yeah. It looks like it sounds like Roma and him and Mourinho. That sounds right. But based off his performances at this, apparently Juve want him now. Because obviously what Juve need is a midfielder who's slightly getting on in years, because that's what they always need.
If Barca and Real have had a look at him.
It won't surprise me if Juve go, do you want Rabiot and we'll take Xhaka off you.
I also, you have to point out when it's your own terrible shit take. Alex, you remember at the start of this tournament when I said, is Seferovic still their main striker? And you went, yeah. And I went, I don't reckon up to him.
Yeah. Two good finishes, to be fair.
Yeah, I might have been off the mark on that one.
Obviously, I'm just shoehorning this in now because I don't know where best to fit it otherwise. Whilst Arsenal has been vaguely mentioned, have you seen how much they've had to pay to Mesut Ozil today?
No.
It's an obscene amount of money. I think, if I remember rightly, I think it might be like 60-something million. It's an insane amount of money.
But is it just like the loyalty payment at the end?
It must be, and I don't. I'd love to see if we can find it now, but yeah.
So
funny.
If it's 60 million, I'm right in saying
I don't think it'll be that much, surely.
I'm going to say because 54 was how much they paid for him, and if they're paying him more than what they actually paid to Real, I'd be very surprised. But I imagine it's in the tens, not millions, just the tens.
Yeah, trying to find this article now.
It's 16.38 million.
Oh, okay.
I just found it then, 16.38.
I knew I had 6 in there somewhere.
Yeah, not bad.
One other thing that we should point out from this game, the penalties were top notch until Kylian Mbappe.
Well.
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe with his 0 goals. I believe I said he'd be top scorer.
I mean, if nothing else, Jack, you can take solace that there's you and about 90% of other people thought the same thing. At least it's not as if you stuck your neck out on that one.
To be honest,
there was the Germany performance where he looked like he was actually too fast.
Yeah,
because he kept getting in behind and just kept getting flagged for going. Not even like Timo Werner too early, like fractions of seconds. But yeah, outside of that, I've not been massively impressed with him. France seem to have mostly defensive players on penalties who all put them away very nicely. And, essentially the player who is going to be next in the top 2 players in the world. And
does Mbappe actually get to take him for PSG, though? Because I would have thought Neymar probably pulls rank on that. Probably,
but I mean, you're a striker. You should be able to take a penalty. I mean, you're a professional footballer. You should know how to take a penalty.
I mean, for what it's worth, yes, there's way less pressure. But I did see a video going around on Twitter, and it was these 2 YouTubers that are quite good at football taking penalties at Ben Foster, and they scored all 10. So, like, you would think, and Ben Foster's a good goalkeeper. You would think that Kylian Mbappe should score that penalty, but they all miss them. And at this tournament, isn't it like 50% the conversion rate outside of shootouts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's when pressure's on, it does weird things.
It might even be less than 50%, if I'm honest.
It was at 40 odd, and there's been 3 or 4 since, and I think Rodriguez is the only one that missed. So it might be up to about 50, but.
And then, typical French things after Rabiot and Varane have a go at each other about the defending. Then Varane has a go at Pogba. Rabiot joins Varane's side to have a go at Pogba for not tracking back. And then in the stands, Rabiot's mum is shouting at Mbappe's dad.
Yeah, Rabiot's mum sounds like a lovely woman. Yelling at the parents, going up to Mbappe's family, having a go at them after he misses the penalty.
God, it makes you really appreciate Judy Murray, doesn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if been hanging out with Wanda when they were at PSG. Mauro Icardi's wife / agent, who is always getting involved in shit like this.
Shoving Judy Bagwell, like.
It's either that or Rebby Hardy.
Yeah.
So, final game to go on, and the team that we will play in the quarterfinals, Ukraine 2, Sweden 1 after extra time. I think, should we talk about that major talking point of the red card tackle? God, that looked horrendous.
Solid yellow. Solid yellow.
I agree with the word red card. I don't agree with the word tackle. That was a clearance. Like,
yeah.
I felt sorry for him getting sent off because he did not mean to do it. That doesn't make it not a red card. Like, that was what Liam Cooper did at Man City, only way worse. Liam Cooper was high and it was a glancing blow. This was straight in the knee, and it's a wonder he didn't snap his leg.
Yeah, I think one of the things I tried to explain to someone as well is because he went off shaking his head about the red card. And it's one of those where you look at it, eye on the ball the whole time. It is unfortunate. Like, I can almost see why he's come off that pitch going, how is that a red card?
To be honest, with the mental state you're in at the time, I bet he thought he barely touched him.
Yeah, and I think again, because we see it from 5 different angles in slow motion. So it looks like his foot, like when you watch it in slow motion, it looks like his foot's trying to snap him in half for a solid 3 seconds. But it all happens that quickly. I can only imagine that you kind of come away from that just thinking, oh, come on, I was just trying to clear the ball. Like, and I can only imagine it's one of those that once he gets in front of a screen, looks at it and goes, oh, no, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him because It is a red card, but I don't think he actually did anything wrong. He just cleared a ball, but he was stretching and he caught someone high. And unfortunately now, that's dangerous play. And if it's dangerous play, the ref has a right to send you off. That it is in the rules now. It's never a red card 20 years ago, but it is now.
I was just about to say, you said he got back and looked on the monitor and went, "Oh yeah," but if that were Roy Keane, he'd have gone, "Get up, you soft cunt."
In fact, what Roy Keane would have done is gone. Now Roy Keane would say, "Whoever was worst player, I'd go into the dressing room and beat him up," because he said that about 4 separate games in about 3 months. First one he did it was De Gea. He had a stinker for Man United, and he said, "I'd be smacking him in dressing room."
I mean, that's still my favourite thing when Patrice Evra is just sat across from him, just laughing as Roy Keane's going off. And Roy Keane, I could have saved that. And Patrice was like, "You couldn't, though."
To be fair, it is.
Who was it he was on about the other night? Was it in the Portugal game?
João Felix, when he were on about how is he a £120 million player?
Yeah.
Yeah, he called him an imposter, didn't he, or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I tend to turn off the coverage at half-time and as soon as full-time happens, especially if the game's on ITV.
You mean you don't want to see Roy Keane and new Crystal Palace manager Patrice Vieira.
Patrick Vieira. No, to be honest, I'd quite like to see Patrice Evra as a Premier League manager because he's mental. See if he gets the whole squad licking raw chicken. Who would be more mental, him or Felix Magath?
Can we have Evra as his assistant?
We'll pick this one up next time. It needs some thought, really.
Yeah.
To be honest, we are quite short of time because both of you two need to get off.
Yeah. Yep. So back to the game then, I suppose. Up until the red card, I thought Sweden were the better side. I thought Sweden probably deserved to go through, but they didn't. And as in a game where I didn't really mind who went through, a last-minute winner in extra time is pretty special, especially when it's someone's first international goal.
Yeah.
That's
really calling you spot on that one.
Yeah. That's a pretty solid way to do it.
So
I think the one thing that surprised me a bit about this game was that both teams pretty much waited until stoppage time, extra time, to start making the subs. And I do feel that like you were looking at two very hot, very tired groups of players. And I feel if one of them would have gone first, probably around 75 minutes and made a couple of subs, because you get the 5 subs, you get an extra sub in extra time as well. I think they probably could have had a bit of a bigger impact on the game if they'd have gone earlier.
I know they're at two different ends of the 30s, but like when you're Ukraine and you're playing Yarmolenko, who's about 33, 34, and then Sweden, who are playing Seb Larsson, who's 38?
I think he's only 36, but he feels like he's been around longer than that. Like Yarmolenko, I've just looked at Yarmolenko. He's only 31, but he has spent most of the last 2 years injured.
Yeah, he's 31, but his ankle is about 67.
Yeah.
But he can still rocket a goal.
But, I mean, Ukraine, I suppose we should just basically talk about them playing us. There's nothing in there to be massively scared of, but they do have a couple of really good players. I mean, I really rate Zinchenko. I was a bit disappointed when he broke into the City side properly. Because, like, last summer, Wolves had a bid accepted for him, didn't they? And he didn't go. And and that bid was apparently like 18, 19 million. I was kind of hoping we might try and do that. But now he's actually properly broke into the side. There's no chance.
Yeah, he's playing above Benjamin Mendy now.
Yeah, so that's gone. But he's a good player. Although he's better than was it Piatov, the guy they had in goal for years, who was always rubbish.
Yeah.
This Bush Shanghai looks better than that, but I don't think he looks great. So I think you can probably do something about him. Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk are both pretty solid. And that centre-back, Ilya Zabani, the 18-year-old, he looks good. I've been keeping an eye out for him all tournament purely because he's an absolute world beater on Football Manager. So that made me go, I recognise him. He gets really good on FM. And then I watched him and I went, that'll be why.
To be honest, all their midfield is quite good. That Stefanenko who plays for Shakhtar Donetsk, he's a good holding midfielder. I don't think he's at Rice or Phillips' level, but he's a decent holding midfielder. And that Milanovsky that plays for Atalanta.
Yeah, Ruslan Malinovsky. He was quite heavily linked to us last summer as well. I don't think there was out in it because I think he'd be going higher than us. But he does look a good player. He's now being linked with Chelsea a lot, and I could see that happening.
Yeah, the only thing, maybe it was because of how late it was on in the game, when I really kind of took notice of him, was he didn't have a lot of pace. He wasn't breaking that line. He was slowing down quite a lot and looking for a pass, which I think helps us.
Yeah, I was surprised to see someone like him. It's sort of, I love watching anyone that plays for Atalanta because they play ridiculous football where they just all run around all the time. Shock horror, the Leeds fan likes that. But I don't think we've up to it. The only thing we have to be scared of is, mentally England switching off and just putting in one of them performances.
I mean, listen as well. I've heard of one player being out. 3 players is a possibility, but 9. Who's ever heard of 9 players being out?
I'm not sure Alex was born when that episode came out.
Just wait till Raheem Sterling's in a wheelchair with gigantism.
That's Homer at the bat.
Is it Daryl?
Yeah. Daryl. I want to do.
Jadon Sancho's about to come in. No. Bukayo Saka's still fit though. Oh.
Yeah. Come.
Right.
Wait, I just want to say the best quote from that episode, but we can't.
To be honest, I'm just waiting for Ben White to go up to Chris Powell. Like, did I make it? You sure did. Woohoo! In your face. Wait.
Are you Harry Maguire? Oh, sorry, mate.
If you don't make this, Sky will.
Harry Maguire's grotesquely swollen jaw. Jack Grealish and he's running with the law. We're talking Southgate.
I'm good.
Wrap it up. We need to go to the pub.
So that'll do us for this episode of Stand Your Ground. If you want to follow the buzz, make sure that you go to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram and follow at WTBdotcom. And if you want to hear more from Jack and Casey, you can follow at Mighty Whites Pod on Twitter. They're on Facebook and YouTube as well, where they live stream to. Or if you want to listen to their audio version, it streams everywhere other than Acast.
Can we just start saying nearly everywhere?
Yeah, I quite like running other than Acast a bit. After winning 860 quid, all I can say is I'm going 2-0 England, staying and curling.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this stain.
But yeah, that'll do us for this episode. We will be back. We play Saturday, so we'll be back either Sunday or Monday, depending on when we can fit in an episode. Fingers crossed, we'll be in a semi-final game against either Denmark or Czech Republic.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's going to happen. It's coming out. So I've been joined by Casey and Jack from the Mighty Whites podcast.
Cheers.
And I'll see you